everyone. Welcome to another episode of Convos with Sazón with yours truly, Cata Mejía. With me today is Kevin Leonel. He is a fashion designer based here in New York. Hello, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I'm freezing right now. The snowstorm really put a hit on the city.
Winter is hitting hard for sure, but you seem to be very well prepared.
Yes, of course. I always have to wear
We'll get into obviously part of what you're wearing in just a moment. But before we get into the work that you do and the line of work that you've decided to dedicate your time to, I want to get to know you as a person first and foremost. So let's talk early beginnings. I know you're a proud Dominican American. So tell me about your upbringing. What was it like, to juggle both cultures, and how has that influenced how you express your creativity?
Yeah, absolutely. So to start from the very beginning, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, specifically this town called Kensington. And it's pretty cool because it's super diverse. You have Borough Park with a lot of the Hasidic Jews, and then you go towards Park Slope, and it's like a melting pot of culture. Mm-hmm. And now it's kind of crazy because now it became into like little Bangladesh, Kensington. Mm-hmm. So it's cool seeing like the culture really coming in and really shaping the community. But growing up, it shaped who I am today. One of my favorite memories is going to a school called PSU 30, and that's where I made some of my best friends, because like my friend groups were like Mexican, Colombian, Dominican, Bangladesh, Pakistani. Like it was everyone, mm-hmm. every type of culture. And I really praise that because it allowed me to like really understand everyone else's viewpoints and cultures a little more differently. Mm-hmm. So like starting with that, I feel like it prepared me for the world a lot better. But growing up in a Dominican household, it really helped me understand like how to, understand Dominican culture and American culture, because my parents would speak to me in Spanish, then I'd learn English in school. Mm-hmm. And that made me who I am today. It's like so cool to like look back and realize that my culture and everything about it like made me, into this like type of person that loves to diverse in all types of cultures.
That's great. So you mentioned obviously like the language component. Is there anything that of your upbringing specifically and of your Dominicanness, right, that you still pay tribute to today, whether it's through your work, whether it's something you incorporate in your day-to-day life?
I'd say something that really stays in tune with me, I'd say throughout my life and my arts, is like music. I think mm-hmm. listening to like merengue, bachata, dembow, like really, it just gives me the energy I need throughout the day. And it's so fun to really divulge in that type of culture, because it's a form of communication mm-hmm. as well. Mm-hmm. And having friends who listen to it, like my brothers listen to it all the time. I feel like that alone like really allowed me to understand like, what it takes to be a Dominican and really value everything about that.
I love that. I also know that in addition to music, sports played a pretty big role in your life growing up. So yes. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, sports played a humongous role. Parents being Dominican, like that was the first sport I learned. And it came pretty easy to me from like the age 6 up to like 20. I played like my whole life. And I feel like with baseball, you really see it shape out not just my personality, but it also shaped out the art that I do. Because when I got into the craft of sewing and designing, like baseball was first in mind, because I wanted to create something cool that didn't really exist in the baseball market. And I feel like that shaped me to the right direction in terms of the arts.
Yeah, absolutely. So now getting into what you're wearing. So this is one of your designs, right? This jacket.
Yeah.
So tell me more about the creative process and the thought process before creating a piece. You can talk about the one you're wearing or any of the ones that stick out that you've previously designed.
Yeah. So a quick thought process is I need to create a mood board. And I always go to Pinterest just to because that app is really well associated with like pinning photos and like creating a board that you can always come back to as a reference. And like this jacket was inspired by like a 1960s high school varsity jacket. And I love the way like it has this like wrangling pattern where it kind of, mm-hmm. instead of having a seam by the shoulder, it kind of flows through the sleeve. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to incorporate more of like a hockey touch to it. Like back in early January, I went to Miami for the Winter Classic. So I wanted to make something cool. And then I used like this Apple emblem that they created. And I used some like Winter Classic motifs that's on the sleeve. And it was such a big hit. Like people loved it. And they really understood the vision that I wanted to create, which was this like heritage feel, but with hockey. Mm-hmm. And, that's how it came together, honestly, just allowing the mood board to shape the jacket.
Yeah. Was there a moment that you can pinpoint or like a general timeline in which you realized that fashion was what you wanted to dedicate your time to?
I'd say when I was a kid, honestly, my older brother Nelson, he would collect Jordans, and that was my first taste into fashion because it was cool watching him pair jerseys with Jordans, kind of like matching together,
Hmm.
early
Hmm.
2000s vibe. And I've always wanted to be a part of that, just because I was really inspired by it. So that was the first taste of knowing that I'm really into fashion. And I feel like New York City breeds that culture of like rocking Jordans and Nikes and
Hmm.
pairing it with like the North Faces and all that stuff. So that's when it really started. And then throughout my life, I was like, I always want to dress well and keep myself right. So um, I went from dressing well to, you know what, I'm gonna start creating clothes.
Nice. I think that notion of dressing well is very cultural as well. I don't know if
Yes.
your mom or your parents in general, but mine still to this day, they're like, when you leave the house, you never know who you're going to run into. Also, how you present yourself is so important. Fashion for many is an extension of how they express themselves. So, would you agree that that's kind of an early teaching that was, said in your household?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like when you went to like Christmas parties,
Mm.
like, we would always come in with a new outfit. Like I remember vividly like wearing like when I was a kid, like Rockaware with like a new pair of Jordan 9s, and my parents always made sure like, no, you gotta show up fresh. Like you gotta have everything brand new.
Hmm.
Cause that's how you should present yourself. It's a formal language, and it's always good to keep yourself up to date and allow yourself to look presentable wherever
Yeah,
you go.
absolutely. So,
Yeah.
you mentioned that the interest and the passion came at an early age.
Yes.
The actual putting it into practice part of it, how did that come into play? Did you learn how to sew by classes? Did you teach yourself? At what point of your life did that come in?
That literally came in during COVID. I taught myself just on YouTube,
Okay.
watching videos, and it allowed me to understand what pattern making is and what it takes like to really work a sewing machine. So it was cool to really like jump in because there was so much free time. Like I could have been doing anything else, but sewing just came to mind. It was such a fun moment, and that's what emerged into that the inspiration of trying to create something new
Mhm.
was like such a big itch for me. And I was like, yeah, let me just jump on this.
So prior to the pandemic, which was unexpected for everyone,
Yeah.
what was your plan? Like, did you know, okay, I'm going to pursue this full time. I want to be a designer. How I get there, TBD, but it's something that I'm really determined to do.
Yeah, no, before it was, I was trying to become like a professional baseball player, like through any means, whether it was like going pro to the majors or doing independent ball.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed like it was just getting tougher because I needed to take certain avenues, like move to certain states and stuff that would allow me to grant those opportunities. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, like I wouldn't say the love of baseball went away, but it was like becoming unrealistic. I didn't want to leave New York to like some random state in the country just to make minimum wage to play baseball. Although in theory sounds fun, but at the same time, I wasn't ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just went straight into like the hotel industry, became a doorman, and that's kind of where things kept me settled until, the itch for fashion came in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going back to the point that you mentioned of you taught yourself how to sew during COVID, how did the first design come to mind? Talk about that first piece.
That first piece was I took a San Francisco Giants jersey and I sewed it together with like a camo jacket, creating
Mm.
like a sleeve hybrid. And I was really big into upcycling at the time. So I wanted to create something really unique and interesting. And that came forward, and it was nice. But looking back, I'm like, that it was kind of shitty. Yeah, it wasn't the best thing but at the moment I was proud of it. I was really proud of it. So that's where it came together, and people received it well. Like people loved how interesting it was and how new and fresh it was. And
Mhm.
I knew something was working. So I just allowed it to. I was just like in flow state. I was like, let me just keep
I
creating
love
until
that.
things like came together.
How do you reach flow state? Let's talk about the space in which you work with
Yeah.
or work in, and also the environment. You mentioned music being a huge part of your life earlier. Do you have to have dembow, merengue, bachata in the atmosphere as you're designing, or is it like heads down, silence for most of the time?
A little bit of both,
Okay.
depending on like how urgent the project is. If
Mhm.
it's like something really urgent, I try to just lock in. But it's something I got time, I'll definitely turn it on, like the dembow, the merengues, cosas así. Like I try my best to understand the situation.
Mhm.
But what I love doing too is going for long walks. That helps me clear my mind. going on the phone with like my siblings, my parents, just doing things that takes my mind off of it. That's how I best achieve flow state. I feel like if you're too tense, you're not gonna things aren't gonna flow correctly.
Mm.
You gotta be like relaxed and
Yeah.
let the universe handle it for you.
Absolutely. We were talking before starting to record that you're actually based in Staten Island. You know,
Yeah.
your studio is there. So talk about the studio a little bit.
Yeah, my studio, I love it because it's the first time I actually got to design it from scratch. I used to sew out of my studio apartment
Mm.
with my fiance, and it was getting a little too crazy because at the time, like, you had the bed, the sewing machine, the kitchen,
Mm.
and it was just becoming madness. And I'm glad I get to separate home from work.
Mm.
So I went for like this Victorian vibes, and a bunch of guys on my team. I have like a team that I work with.
Mhm.
They're contractors, so they do a lot of construction, and they help put it together. They put like the molding. We got like a bunch of vintage frames. We painted it like this aqua color.
Mhm.
We made it feel like almost like a chateau. That was the inspiration. And then we just put like baseball inspiration, hockey stuff. Like I have a lot of videos on my Instagram that kind of shows you the process. But it was a cool version because I wanted to create a world. It wasn't just about clothing. It's about creating the space to go with the clothing. So super proud that I was in the position to do that.
So from the first piece that you created to now, it's been a few years, right?
Yeah.
When you first set out to do this, you mentioned earlier as well that you wanted to dress well, you wanted to kind of have a bigger hand in that process.
Yeah.
What other mission have you set out to do, from start to now, and that kind of changed?
Uh just I guess just like trying to grow not just myself, but the understanding of my design language. I want to eventually, like a dream of mine is like to design like houses, like interior designing and stuff like that.
Mm.
Cause I don't want it just to be clothing. I feel like that's just one language.
Yeah.
I want people to understand my world. Like I want people to see how I would design a bedroom or a living room. And that's why the studio really played into it because it was a glimpse of what I can come up with.
Hmm.
So eventually I want to just grow into something a little bigger than clothing
Yeah.
and create like a huge world of my own.
Obviously, I mean, your talent is undeniable. Have you had any professional training in design, or is this really just your critical eye has come into play and that's what dictates your design decisions?
No, it comes straight from the dome, honestly.
Nice.
I do a lot of studying too.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's my professional work
Yeah.
where I'm just reading books, seeing catalogs, again, going back to mood boards, like
Mhm.
just really building a vision that I feel like would inspire me to keep creating. So I feel like that's where things really start to come together is like when I'm in this like right mindset
Mhm.
and I start picking apart influences and kind of combining it together.
Okay. So
Yeah.
walk us through from start to finish kind of how you make a piece. You hinted at it earlier in terms of how you made this jacket,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or how you made your first piece. But does the mood board come first? Like, walk us step by step as much as you possibly can.
Mood board. Then I go to like Photoshop, kind of put everything together. After Photoshop, I create they call it, I can't think of it right now, but kind of like a,
Like a mock up?
yeah, not a mock-up, but
Prototype?
yeah, so we'll call it that. We'll call it that. It's basically just like a sheet where it has
Mhm.
all the descriptions for the
Mhm.
manufacturer to understand like, look, this patch is felt. We're using change stitch embroidery. Just give it really detailed nuances that they can understand. So once I create that sheet, I then ship it off to the manufacturer, and then we just go back and forth until they understand what I want, I understand what I want, and then I give it like 2 weeks to create like a sample or production depending on what I'm going for. But there's a bunch of stages that I have to go through before a piece is done, and even this jacket, like when I made it, it had to go through multiple stages of understanding the qualifications to make this
Mhm.
because I want it to come out perfect on the first try, not the
Course.
second and third, because it gets expensive if you just keep ordering
Yeah.
samples. So, yeah, mood board, then like a spec sheet, and then it just comes to life.
Okay. And how do you decide how much to make? I know that some are one of a kind, literally
Yeah.
one of one. Others, I'm sure, you order a little bit more. So how do you make those decisions?
I base it off of like how hot the design is. If I feel like it's something like super dope, then I'm gonna try to aim for like 50 units or something like that. But if it's something a little more risky that I'm proud of, but I know the audience will be maybe too new, it's like a little bit on a riskier side, I'll definitely lower it. I'll try to get 10 and under just because I want to test the market.
Mhm.
And if it does well, then in the future I'll just re-release it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned upcycling earlier.
Yeah.
Talk about the importance of sustainability, both in practice and how you apply it to your designs, and then also how that impacts your design process as well.
I feel like sustainability, it's such an important part of my design language because I started with it.
Mhm.
But I feel like what it does is it gives people the true feeling of a one-on-one, and people like to feel that they have something that no one else has. So I feel like that's what's really amazing about sustainability is like it allows you to create something that doesn't exist and repurpose old fabrics or just old designs that deserve a second chance. I
Mhm.
feel like that's what's beautiful about upcycling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For those not familiar with your work, obviously prior to hearing from you
yeah.
today, how would you describe your work or the brand that you're setting out, to share with everyone?
It's funny because I have team meetings and we always talk about what's our brand purpose and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I feel like what we came to learn is that our brand is building selling an experience. I feel like
Mhm.
that's what we came down to because we don't sell clothes. We want to sell an experience to you. We want you to feel what it felt like to have a 1960s pattern and giving it more of a modern touch. Or even like with the one-on-ones when I did a lot of sustainability, it was about having something that no one else has. And on
Mhm.
top of that, it's a conversation starter is
Mm.
what I want to say.
Mhm.
When you have something that's a conversation starter, people want to, come up to you and be like, "Oh, where'd you get that? That's such an interesting jacket or shirt, whatever." And I try to combine the world. So that's why I love to say I'm selling an experience to people.
I love that. In
Yeah.
addition to the intersection of sports and music, you mentioned hockey, you mentioned baseball.
Yeah.
Are there aspects of your design, and this doesn't necessarily have to be true for every jacket, but that you use as a tribute to your Dominican heritage? Like, have you tried maybe something in the past that it's like very niche that only Dominicans would know or only Latinos would pick up on, whether it's a material or a specific design?
Yeah, yeah. I use a lot of lace for the summer, and like I'm like last summer I made a Guayubero shirt, so I feel like
Mhm.
like a lot of Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, like people were loving the homage I was paying to
Mhm.
Dominican culture. It's harder to do during the winter because obviously we're in the Caribbean,
Mhm.
so we want to create something that's more suitable for that. But this this year we're doing something a little more. We're jumping into Dominican roots more, which I'm
Okay.
like excited to show in a couple of weeks because it's like I'm paying homage to them and like
Yeah.
all the Latino countries that
Mhm.
especially specifically play baseball because they're trying to give this baseball angle.
Mhm.
So we're doing something really cool in a couple of weeks.
I have to ask, as a
Yeah,
Colombian, we do have baseball teams, but our main sport is soccer.
yeah,
And
yeah.
this year, obviously, the World Cup is coming. Do you have any plans to do something around the World Cup or anything in anticipation of this big event?
Oh, of course I
Yeah.
have to. Yeah, yeah, I have to. It's something that I feel like I lose out on the moment if I
Mm.
don't. So
Mhm.
I absolutely will be.
All right. Well, here's a special request for a Colombian one.
Yeah,
I'll keep an
I'll
eye
make sure it sends something
out.
your way. I have to.
Let's talk about balancing, your individual taste, right? And your passion for everything you've already mentioned, your cultural identity and your roots and the intersection of so many, different industries with the commercial aspect of running a business. Have
Yeah.
you ever found yourself at an inflection point of, I really want to do this design. I feel personally very strongly about it, but I'm not sure if it will be received as I'm expecting from the public. So you mentioned, for more niche designs, maybe you won't order as many. Talk about that. What is that
Yeah.
balance?
Well, I feel like it's important to do those niche designs that are more true to me because that's what gives me life.
Mm.
Like I need my designs and my creativity to flourish, and I can't do that if I'm doing like something that a company wants that's more
Mhm.
simple and mainstream
Mhm.
because I feel like it would just make my life so boring.
Yeah.
So there's moments where like I will do something like out of the world, like I'll make like a puffer with lace fabric out of a tablecloth or
Ooh.
something, just because
Okay.
it's like I keep mentioning, it's like an itch. Like I have to try it because it could lead to my next big design. Because I could take proponents from it and it could turn into a mainstream design,
Mm.
you know? And there's only like a specific audience that would like want to buy a lace puffer, but
Yeah.
they exist.
Mhm.
But who knows? Like maybe in the future it could turn into like a parsley laced puffer and then like everything else is like the wool materials and stuff. So I feel like it's super important to always try to do those like amazing one-on-ones and still keep the mainline stuff for like companies that want to, explore that option.
Speaking of companies, you've had some huge partnerships over
Yeah.
the years. So Talk about the biggest ones, in your opinion, and then also the behind the scenes of what it took to actually get those partnerships.
Yeah. I would say for sure the NHL, number one, because I got licensed with them and
Yeah.
so much creative nuances came with that. I did TNT recently, which was amazing. We did a Team USA actually for Hispanic Heritage Month.
Nice.
And we made a jacket for Diego.
Mm.
And he's part of the main roster for Team USA. And it was cool because it was touching like a lot of Hispanic roots. It was the first time I'd done like a Latino based jacket, so we like translated everything in Spanish. You like
Love that.
"Somos Unidos" on the back and stuff like that. I'd say that was big because it finally like touched into Latino heritage, and they
Mhm.
broadcasted it really nicely because it's TNT and they
Yeah.
have all the rights. And then another big one I did was this company called Lotto Max in Canada. They reached out to make 500 one-on-ones, which was like tough project, but we pulled it off, and
How long did that take?
it took like 8 months.
I
I
can't
didn't
even
make it
imagine.
I made some of them myself, and then I found a local manufacturer in Brooklyn that helped produce it for me. And what was cool is that they focus on sustainability, so we were able to source a lot of vintage fabrics, and they made the patterns for us, and it was cool. And what I loved about it was that it was more of a donation play. So like each jacket was a lottery ticket, and if you won, like the money from the sold goods would go to a donation, a charity of my choice, and it was like such a cool moment. To work with the Canadian
Beautiful.
company to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to these partnerships, is there something that you take into consideration? Obviously, business is business, and I recognize that. But before you move forward with a partnership or you say yes to a brand, are there things that they have to meet in your eyes in order for you to say yes? Meaning, do they have to align with your values?
Yeah.
Do you take reputation into account? Talk about that.
Yeah, I would definitely say, what I try to align is like having as much creative control as possible,
Mm, mhm,
because I want it to feel like me. I want like if you're reaching out to me, I want to give you my best version. The worst is like if a company tries to mold you into something that
mm.
they want, because then it's like, then I feel like a manufacturer. I don't feel like a designer anymore. So I try to really showcase that, like, if you allow me to have full creative control, you're gonna get more than what you bargained for.
Mm,
So
mhm.
I really try to emphasize on that. If not, it's not gonna come like from the heart. It's more like I'm just like a manufacturer, and that's not fun because I didn't sign up for that. I want to make sure like it's a Kevin Leonel
Yeah.
jacket or moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've mentioned your team a couple of times. I would
Yes.
love to dive deeper into that because, you said you started sewing by yourself in the
Yeah.
pandemic based on YouTube videos. So fast forward to now, 6 years since the pandemic. I can't believe we're saying
I
that.
know.
How have you built your team and how did that start?
Yeah, so it first started with my brother Nelson and Aaron. Aaron's my younger one. They just knew that things were going a little faster than I expected,
Mhm.
and they knew like if there's a way we can come in and kind of expedite you, like let's do it. Like they would answer emails for me and stuff. And at first it was hard because I didn't want to give up control
Mm.
because I'm like, no, I'm the only one that understands how to do this. But I had to learn how to give up control and allow others to teach, because then it allowed me to create more. And then as time went on, there was my brother Nelson was working with these two guys, two good friends of theirs, and Oz and John, and they were working in construction. They were the contractors I was telling you about, and
Okay.
they fell in love with the idea. They were seeing the momentum, and then they jumped in. So our team became like this core of 5 people, just brothers and friends who really valued of what I want in this, in this industry, and they saw the potential momentum. So we've been kicking it for the past 2 years, and it's been nothing but greatness. Honestly, a lot of amazing things have come from it.
That's awesome. And
Yeah,
all of the greatness that's to come.
yeah,
How would you say your brand has evolved in these 2 years, from the
yeah.
initial vision, also seeing the traction that it's gotten up until now?
Evolved a lot. It's not just me in a little studio apartment anymore. I have my own spot. It's evolved more than just one-on-ones. We're trying to grow into like a bigger business, like a
Mhm.
full-blown size company that can mass produce. I feel like that's what's grown a lot. And also on the content side too, which is really fun because I feel like I'm in a unique position where I'm not just a designer, I'm also a content creator,
Mm.
where I get to like be authentic and tell my story and be myself. And both of them work as a business in its own, because I get brand deals just to be myself,
Mhm.
and I get brand deals that kind of merge into the fashion space too. So
Yeah.
it's grown a lot in that sense.
What are you hoping people perceive from either the content that you create or the work that you produce? You know, you mentioned earlier you really want to give people that feel, the authentic feel of what it was like in the 1960s and to
Yeah.
feel their best selves. What else are you hoping?
Uh, it's a great question. I never really thought of it like that. Just because I'm so focused on like trying to do the next best thing,
Mm,
I guess I want people to see that. I want them to feel as like I could be a source of inspiration for them, so that they can kick off and do something that they want to try in life. I feel like that's what I want people to feel. And going back to what I said too about the experience, I want
yeah.
people to understand that, we're not just a one-off company. Like we're gonna sell you like a kick-ass jacket
Mhm.
or like a full outfit because we want to grow into something bigger. And honestly, like in today's world too with social media, I feel like brands should be more bigger than just a brand. Like you should be like a world, do
Mhm.
world building and
Mhm.
allow people to be immersed in it as much as they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I very much respect and am aligned with what you just said of you're hoping to be an inspiration along those same lines
Yeah.
of being real about your story, right? What are some challenges that have come along the way? You know, you didn't necessarily have a blueprint for how to tackle this. You've
Yeah.
taken it day by day. You've added friends and family, to the mix. Talk about what people might be surprised to know about in terms of what it's taken to get to where you are right now.
I'd say the hardest thing is I have to think. There's a lot of hard things
Yeah.
from
Tell
the
them
day
all.
to
Tell
day.
them all.
Yeah, yeah. I guess like mock-ups could take like hours just to do like one or two mock-ups.
Mhm.
Like juggling clients. I say the hardest thing for me now that I've been dealing with is on the blessing side. A lot of companies reaching out. They want to work with me. They want to do cool projects, jackets, and stuff like that. But then on the other side, I can't really create content. I don't have time to sit down
Mhm.
and be myself on the camera because I'm too busy trying to juggle emails or juggle mock-ups or trying to sew something for somebody. So I feel like that's like a big struggle of understanding how do I balance not just dealing with clients, but also,
Mhm.
sustaining the content creation side, which is what got me to where I'm at today.
Yeah. What would you say is a lesson that fashion has taught you? Traditionally speaking, the fashion industry isn't the easiest. You know,
Yeah.
it can be cutthroat. There's a lot of competition. There are a lot of nuances that come with it. You know, Fashion Week is coming up as well. So
Yeah.
there's even more conversation around that. Talk about that.
Yeah. I feel like fashion taught me to be authentic, to cut
Mhm.
through the noise because there's so many fashion brands out there, clothing companies, and there's a lot of noise and people are fighting for attention. Fashion taught me to be yourself and really emphasize on it because that's what people want. They want something authentic. They don't want just another t-shirt hoodie brand. They want to see something cool that they haven't seen before. And like I mentioned before, it's like those true one-on-ones I do would never go away because that's what attracts those people that come in and really understand that the world I'm building and understand like, oh, you could mix like lace with sports or like vintage tablecloths and stuff. So I feel like that's what it really taught me.
Yeah.
Just be authentic and be yourself.
Speaking to that expectation
Yeah.
of what's next, what's new, how do you personally manage that? You know, does it get stressful at times, especially when it comes to creativity, where it's a combination of being in the know of what's out there,
Yeah.
being in tune with what it is that you put on the table, and also, kind of pushing that boundary? How do you manage that?
Yeah. I have to I do it a lot actually.
Yeah.
I always have to game plan the next like 6 to 8 months just to get an understanding of like where I want the brand to be aesthetic wise because I don't want to keep creating the same thing over and over again, even if it sells well, because like I feel like it's too boring. I want to try something new. So creating like a 6 to 8 month game plan of like, all right, these are the new style of sweaters, jackets, and stuff we're releasing is going to allow me not only to make better content, but to make better designs. And it
Yeah.
always keeps my mind fresh. So understanding like, all right, this is the game plan for the next timeline. This is how we're going to structure it.
Have you ever faced a creative block and how did you get out of it?
Yes, I did. I did. Last summer,
Yeah.
it was like for the first time in a while, I didn't know what to make. And I think part of it is that I love going outside. I love the summer, the heat. It's funny because my friends call me like a palm tree because I always need to be outside and stay warm as much as I can. But yeah, when like summer is tough for me because I want to be outside. I don't want to be inside sewing and making mock-ups. So I always run into a creative block. And what I try to do is I try to work out as much as I can to clear my mind, get the endorphins running, and then it allows me to kind of come back in and reset myself. But in order to avoid a creative block is I try to game plan, 6 to 8 months in advance. Because if not, I know I'm going to run to the same trap like it usually happens.
When inspiration hits, you've mentioned Pinterest, you've mentioned your mood boards.
Yeah.
Do you write it down and then give yourself time to delve into that? Or do you also give yourself time to kind of sift through those random inspiration hits and really hone in on what's feasible? What speaks to me? What is that process like?
Yeah. I'm a big believer of like I like to say like the universe gives you the idea, and if you don't act on it, it's going to go to somebody else. And I remember Michael Jackson was talking about that once. He said he woke up in the middle of the night, called his manager, and was like, I have to record this song or else Prince is going to take it. And I'm a big believer that like that, it's almost like an energy that comes into you. So when you get that stroke of inspiration, try to act on it as fast as you can, because you never know where it could lead you to.
That's so funny that you mentioned that. I just last week had a guest here who was telling me that her idea for her debut album came to her in a dream. So very similar to what you were saying, the universe kind of gives you that idea. Speaking of thinking 6 to 8 months in advance and planning with that much amount of time ahead, can you give us an inside scoop? Any exclusive of what's coming up, what people can look forward to? You mentioned a release in a couple of weeks. You mentioned taking advantage of the World Cup. So is there anything else you can share?
I'm trying to, let me think. So I'm working on a really, really cool project that's coming out. This is more recent. I made these like insanely nice Tampa Bay Lightning jackets for the Stadium Series that's coming up this weekend. And I made it for the other half. So basically the wives and girlfriends of the players. But I'm proud of it because there's this like cool palm tree effect that I created on the shoulder that I've never seen before. Like I said, I always have to try something I've never seen. And they loved it, and they're gonna release it this week. So that's something really cool that I've been working on. But the next best thing is I'm working on this like World Baseball Classic inspired Dominican windbreaker, which I'm so proud of because it's the windbreaker is shaped as the DR flag. And
wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and then I put like República Dominicana, like a custom badge that I did, trying to pay homage to the DR team, without using any of MLB's marks, like just wanted to do something fun and creative. And then I'm making this flag shirt that I'm super proud of too. Of it. It's gonna have like the Colombian flag, it's gonna have the DR flag. It's like I call it like the Serie de Caribe. It's like it's based off of this tournament every winter where all these Caribbean countries, they play this tournament to win like who's the best of the Caribbean. And I made this rugby shirt that has all the flags put together, and it's like based off of this 90s Ralph Lauren vibe. Which I'm like super excited to release. And
I have to ask, first of all, that sounds so incredible. I can't wait to see it all. And I'm particularly excited, as I mentioned earlier, about what you do for the World Cup. I have to ask, do you own one of every piece that you've made? Or have you had to make hard decisions? Because I'm thinking of my personal experience. And I mean, when I was younger, actually, I wanted to be a fashion designer. I obviously never went down that route. But I think hypothetically, of course, I would want something of my own. The problem is the closet space. So how do you manage that?
I do not own one of everything. I wish I did. I wish I did. Some of those one-on-ones I've sold in the past, I'm like, oh my God, I wish I had this right now. And time's going so fast. I want to like re-experience the clothing that I made, I kept some very special ones to me that I look back and I'm like, wow, I actually thought of this. This is insane. But there's some that I got rid of and I'm like, oh my God, I would kill to have it back right now. So I try to now, what I do is I make more than one. If it's a one-off, I try to do two and just keep it as an archive. Yeah. And if I run out of space, I'll get a storage unit. I'm already planning on that because I know it's going to happen.
I love what you just mentioned of an archive because it's almost walking down memory lane and a physical representation of your journey. You know, do you take time to kind of reflect on how far you've come? And I ask because you've mentioned how, you always have to be ahead of the game. It's a fast-moving industry. So it can be hard to kind of pause and be like, wow, I did this. I've gotten this far. And obviously, you're going to get even further. But really taking that time to reflect is important as well.
Yeah, I do. I do reflect. And sometimes I get so embarrassed. Because I'm like, oh my God, this sucks. Like, why did I think of that? But at the time, I was like, this is the best idea ever. So when I do reflect, it's always good to see how much you grow.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie, there's moments where I get so embarrassed. I'm like, I don't know why I did this. This is something I would never do again.
Well, listen, that's part of
Yeah.
growth. That's
Yeah,
part
yeah.
of growth. And we are most of the time our harshest critics. So I'm
Yes,
willing to
yes.
bet that even the moments or the pieces that you are embarrassed of that are part of your growth and learning,
Yeah.
they're probably not as bad as you
Yeah, yeah. No, I
think.
agree. I agree. And I'm such a like perfectionist. I've learned this recently with the therapist that I have. And I'm like, wait, because I was like, I'm not a perfectionist. And she's like,
Yeah, you
yeah, you are. You spend 2 hours on one design. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you're right. Yeah. And
What is a myth about perceived overnight success that you would like to debunk?
I say the myth is um, the cliche saying it takes 5 years for overnight success.
Mm.
I think overnight success is preparation meets perfect timing.
Mm.
I think
Mhm.
that's how things move quick. If you're in the right moment and you're prepared, things can move extremely fast. But you got to be there though. You got to keep the fishing pole in the water.
I
Yeah,
love that
that's what
saying.
my friend John, the guy in my team, he says that. And when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Cause he's like, how are you gonna catch fish if your fishing pole's not in the water? And then
Mm.
it hit me like, yeah, you're right. Just be there is
So
what he's trying to say.
how
Like,
would you say your definition and your perception of success has changed from when you first started versus now?
uh, yeah, I feel like it's changed a lot because
Yeah.
I'm living the dreams that I dreamt about years ago. And then when I get there, I'm like, oh, that's it? Yeah, like, no, and don't get me wrong, I'm
Yeah.
grateful, but I'm like, oh, wow. Like, I thought it'd feel different.
Mm.
So I've learned with success, it's the journey. It's how you grow from the beginning. That's the true success. It's the motivation, like, oh, I want to get to this point. I want to get there. Because you're going to get there. And it's like it kind of goes away to some degree.
Yeah.
You're
And
like,
also
yeah.
managing expectations, right?
Yes, yes. I've learned to I don't have high expectations anymore.
Mm.
Like I said, I try to go in flow state. And like if it happens, it happens, you know?
Yeah.
Because like the worst thing is to be like let down. And it kind of just destroys your motivation. So I try to
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I got a cool opportunity knocking on the door. If it happens, it happens. If not, I'm okay.
You know, you mentioned
Yeah.
therapy earlier. One of the things that I've learned from therapy, in
Yeah, yeah.
addition to I'm also a perfectionist, is the importance of focusing on what you can control versus
Yes.
what you can't. And that goes hand in hand with managing expectations. It's not necessarily expect less, but it's more so focus on what it is that you have complete control over, and everything else, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
will come on its own. It will work out how it's meant to work out.
Yeah.
Let's speak dream collaborations,
Yeah.
whether it's a brand, whether it's a country, a type of next product. What is something that you'd say you're actively working towards or would love to achieve and get to the point and be like, wow, you just mentioned it. I dreamt of this a couple of years ago.
Yeah. My dreams change so fast. It's
Yeah.
insane. But something I would love to do that I saw someone else do, and I'm like, that is incredible, is I saw this the Dominican, I love to collab with the Dominican tourism group because they collab with JetBlue and they got a couple of Dominican artists to design a plane. And I was like, holy shit, that is insane. I want to try that. So now that's something I would love to achieve as like a bucket list dream. But I feel like a true dream for the brand is to have multiple licenses, have a storefront. When I mean licenses, like MLB, NFL, things like that, and really just go global with it. Have the word spread all over the world, and have people learn what Kevin Leonel is about.
Mhm.
I think that's the overall dream that I'd love to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Across every industry, there's so much talk about representation,
Yeah.
right? And as Latinos, I'm
Same.
sure you can also agree the fact that there can always be more of us
Yeah.
in the fashion industry,
Of
in
course.
sports, in music. How does that contribute to the work that you're also setting out to do? Because you are very loud and proud of your Dominican heritage.
sí.
So, ¿cómo haces para continuar esa misión? In your work, in everything that you speak about, and then also paving way for others that, as you mentioned earlier, you're hoping they hear your story and they're inspired to set out something on their own as well.
The best way to do it is to be in those spaces. You got to break down the doors,
Mm.
and then it allows I don't say the gatekeepers, but it allows the people up top to understand that someone like me is very valuable to your business, to your vision. So I feel like breaking down those doors is the best way to go about it, because then you can lead the path for other people.
Mhm.
But the way I see it playing is you gotta like fight the fight basically.
Mm.
I'm trying to think of like how else to say it. You always have to do things that no one else is doing to get to those areas, because
Mhm.
that's what's gonna open up the doors, you know.
Yeah.
I love that there is more Latino representation in fashion right now. Like you have Luar is
Mhm.
killing it, you know. He's Dominican. You have him and I'm trying to think too in the not the Spanish, I'm trying to say the music industry is really
Oh my
merging into
gosh.
fashion. And you know, you're seeing people like Cochise and so many other like really cool artists who are like merging.
Mhm.
And of course you got Bad Bunny,
Mm.
but that's like
Mhm.
his story is like global. You know,
Yeah.
he's on a different spectrum. It's
Yeah.
insane what he
Yeah,
did.
absolutely. But I
Yeah.
think similarly to what I was hinting at earlier of, it just takes one or a handful to break the door,
See, claro
to
que sí.
continue to push that boundary. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it'll be handed to everyone else that comes after
No.
them, but it will
Yeah.
be a tiny bit easier. And so the work that you're doing is also paving that way and,
Yes.
contributing to the fight that we're continuing to fight.
Yeah.
Have you faced, not backlash necessarily, but have you faced pushback in the industry or elsewhere because you're Latino? Like, have you found it a little bit harder to achieve what you have that if you were of a different ethnic background, it might not have been as hard?
Not at all, to
I
be honest with
love
you.
that.
Yeah, not at all. I think because I carved my own lane to
Mm,
some degree, that
mhm,
when opportunities come is because they already saw what I can do. So I never experienced that to that. And knock on wood,
mhm.
like seriously, I need to do that. I don't want to experience that, but everyone I've come across has
Yeah.
been more than accepting of who I am. Like they don't discriminate. They're like,
Mhm.
no, this is cool.
Have you had any mentors in the industry?
I have
Talk
one right
about
now.
that.
Yeah. His name is Ward. He's the reason I got into the NHL actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Owns this brand called Tokens and Icons. And what's amazing is that he had a very similar not upbringing, but the way his design career started. He took the reason it's called Tokens and Icons because he would take MTA tokens before Metro cards and he put them in wallets, make them keychains. And there was the upcycling aspect of
Mhm.
it. And I kind of started the same way, but in the fashion sense of taking tablecloth, sweaters, and what was I gonna say, blankets to create like cool garments. And I met him through a friend of mine who I met his professor who worked at the NFL.
Mhm.
And when I told him my story, he was like, "Oh, I'll link you to Ward." And I met Ward, and the guy's 70. He acts like he's in his 20s. Like he's full of
Young
life.
soul.
Yeah, he's a young soul. He's always traveling to like see sporting events, and I really cherish that because like the energy he has is insane.
Yeah.
And he kind of showed me the ropes of like how to navigate this world. And really he believed in me. He believed in me. So like I value him a lot because he got me into these spaces that I would never see. Like un dominicano in hockey is
Mhm.
kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like none of us know how to ice skate, you know? So it's cool to in the fashion sense that I got into
Yeah.
that world. And yeah, he's been everything that I need to really
Yeah.
move forward in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've mentioned throughout our conversation wanting to go global. I
Yeah.
also talked about New York Fashion Week coming up.
Yeah.
What type of global stage do you see or do you hope that your work gets to? Like, do you foresee a runway show with your designs at one point? Do you see maybe collaborating with an artist on a global stage, like a Bad Bunny on at
Yeah.
Super Bowl or something along those lines?
Yeah, I wanna get to the point where like, you know, I'm in high-end retailers in like Japan, Korea, Europe.
Mhm.
Again, if an insane goal is like designing a hotel,
Yeah.
you know, like that'd be insane. Or even like, I mean, collabing with someone like Bad Bunny would be incredible because of Latino heritage there, lineage there. But I feel like I mentioned before, I
Yeah.
want to grow outside of just fashion. I want to
Yep.
grow into lifestyle.
Yep.
I want people to really embrace what my vision is.
Yeah. So you want to be Kevin Leonel, designer of all things,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
clothing, planes.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
mentioned
yeah, yeah, yeah.
experiences, everything.
Vaso is the todo. Like
I love
seriously,
it. I
everything,
love
everything.
it. I love it. Well, you're speaking it into existence.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
like
my
you
yeah,
said, you're putting in the work so that when the opportunities present
yeah,
themselves, you'll
yeah.
be ready. I like to end these conversations with like a quick rapid fire just for fun.
Okay,
So
okay.
let's go
Sí, sí,
for it.
sí. Vamos a hacerlo.
One word to describe your style.
Uh, ooh. I would say that was hard. Oh my God. One word? I could do a sentence, but one word. To throw it out, I'd say I'm gonna go with preppy. Just
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can
yeah.
see it. New York or the DR?
DR. Yeah.
Where in the DR?
I would say well now it's Cabarete. I
Yeah.
love this. It's a northern town and the beach sound
I'll
incredible.
have to write it down. I've been
Yeah.
to DR, but not there yet.
Yeah.
Favorite sport to design around?
Baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Music you have to design too.
Jazz.
Ooh,
Yeah.
any specific artists?
No. It's literally just
Just like
YouTube music.
jazz.
Yeah.
I
It could
love
be
it. I love it. I love it. Most unexpected place that inspiration has hit you?
Morocco.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's on my bucket list. Fabric that you're obsessed with right now, or material?
No, that fabric definitely works. Wool. Yeah.
Mm, that
Cashmere.
makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense with how cold it is right
Yeah.
now. Sketching first or selecting the cloth?
Oh, selecting the cloth.
Yeah.
Design around that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. One brand that would be a dream to collaborate with.
Ralph Lauren.
I can totally see
Yeah,
that. The piece that you're most proud of thus far?
Lord Stanley jacket. We put 22,000 crystals, Swarovski crystals on it.
How
Yeah.
long did that take?
I didn't make it, but it took a month.
Oh my
They made
gosh.
it.
Oh
They
my
they
goodness.
hand placed it. So
Wow.
I'm most proud for sure.
That's incredible. Your biggest creative pet peeve?
Creative pet peeve.
Mhm.
I have to say mock-ups, I'd say. I want to get to it. I
Okay.
don't want to, yeah, I can't draw it.
One rule in fashion that you love breaking?
One rule, don't use a pattern.
I love a pattern.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I feel like that's how you get most creative.
Yeah.
And then you fix it later.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the last question is, what's a fashion trend that if it were up to you, we can do without?
We can do it out.
Yeah.
Skinny jeans.
Hot take.
Yeah, yeah. I think we should bring back like mid-rise pants for men, more straight cut. Yeah, yeah.
Mid-rise.
Straight taper.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
But the skin tight.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Dominicans love it. You ever seen
Yes,
those
yes.
trends? Oh my God. The I know black, I'm Dominican trend. That's hilarious. Yeah. Yo no puedo ser con eso. I can't.
Last
Can't do that.
question
Yeah.
for you. What is something that people would be surprised to know about you, the person? Something that you don't necessarily showcase on social media, or something that people would really have to get to know you to know?
Shoot. I'm trying to go a little back right now because I feel like I show everything right now. I see something kind of like a fun fact. I used to do background acting, and I'm in like a couple
my
of TV
God.
shows that you can see
Okay.
me in, like Orange is the New Black.
I
and,
love Orange is the New Black.
I've done things like that. It was kind of cool.
Do you
But
think you'll go back to that at any point?
background acting?
Acting?
No, that's not my thing.
That was a one and done.
Yeah, that it was good money. It was
Okay. Amazing.
yeah.
Well, listen, is there anything else you want to share?
I want to say, just if you want to follow me on Instagram,
About to ask.
yeah,
Yes, go ahead.
you can find me at Kevin Leonel on Instagram and KevinLeonel.1 on TikTok. I have a lot of cool stuff coming out, and especially for my Latino people. So definitely stay tuned.
I
It's a
have
lot of
no
cool
doubt.
things.
Well, listen, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you had as much fun as I did.
I did.
And thank you all for watching and listening. Until next time.